And I think just kind of adding to the whole kind of, the links thing is if you want people to come to your website, at least understand that people, they need to, it has to be reading those links, putting the stuff on the photos, and like I said before. Now, before I get into a bit more advice on accessibility, another thing that could be more accessible is sending people directly to the link you want people to go to. Not sending people around in circles, making sure that people get the right information. The couple of websites that really annoy me are the Autism Initiative website and the RNIB website. The Autism Initiative's website annoys me because I haven't been on it for a while, but the last time I went on it, I was looking for houses for disabled people, which I'll have another rant on at some point when I'm doing my thoughts, But I was looking for about houses, shared houses, what do they call it? Learning disability houses. And I wanted to know. I didn't want a social worker to tell me. I wanted to do the research myself. Okay? Unfortunately, there is more research, but it's still you still need a social worker. There's that much red tape. You can't just go look at a supported house. You can't just see what the... it's not like a normal house, which annoys me. But still, instead of a link saying, make sure you have a social worker, instead of clicking on that link, instead of doing that, it sends you all the way around back to the beginning. Also, for other services, for autism initiatives, you have to be a service user in order to use the website. Now, I hate to say this, but autism initiatives think that we're dumb in order to see what their services are, which is annoying to see what they want to do. We have to use the service, and you have to be a member. The RNIB website's another one. They haven't updated it in years. You have the shop, you have all this, all the services. How many times it sends you round and round and round in circles? We all know that RNIB isn't what it was. And all the items on the shop, that's so 10 years ago. I don't know, the thing is... Anyway, I'll do a rant on that in another video because I want to keep this on accessible websites and... yeah. But another thing as well is... instead of sending people around in circles, just display a number on that page, because it'll help. If there is, if your website has been taken down for whatever reason, then it's been taken down. But you don't need to start sending people round in a huge, big freaking circle just because obviously you're not happy with, whatever. Big organisations are always saying, we haven't got the money to be giving more people information. And it just annoys me because you got a website there which is free for anybody else to access yet. So make sure everything's out there. Make sure the text is make sure everything's up to scratch. Make sure your information is something that people can take away. Now, I want to just end this video by talking about browsers, because I get this question all the time. You know, people say, like, slow and clunky websites. And a lot of people say, Stephen, you talk about cyberclans in your cyberclans videos, you talk about browsers. Why do you care for certain browsers? Well, we used to be a web design and development company, right? And the main browsers, which is your Safari, your Microsoft Internet Explorer, your Chrome, all that. But then there are other browsers which aren't made for your main browsers. And you have to know about that browser. Now, I know that sites that are made in Firefox, that aren't made for Internet Explorer or whatever, will work with other forms of browsers, but they won't work with that browser. Now, I know a lot of people had a Doro. I don't know what Doro is. It's an old phone, an old granny's phone. And they used Opera Touch. Now, we used Opera Touch for a while. Now, Opera Touch used to be terrible. And then it changed. It went really good. It went from terrible to being really good overnight. Because it had so many users using it. And Opera Touch is really, really great. Because it's really fast. In fact, Opera Touch is probably one of the fastest mainstream browsers out there. And like Chrome is one of the fastest browsers. But there are slow browsers out there. And it's handy to know that if websites have been made for a slow, clunky browser, it ain't going to work for a fast browser. No matter how fast your browser is, it's not going to work in a very, very fast browser. And people say, why is a slow and clunky website not working in a fast browser? And the reason is because, one, it's too static. Two, the code is sloppy. Three, and this is the thing, right? It doesn't matter what form, right? It ain't going to be accessible for any browser unless you use that type of browser. And this is why a lot of people say, hey, Stephen, why do you use so many browsers? Well, the reason I use so many browsers is because if I'm looking at a website or if I'm viewing, depends. If I'm viewing, I'll use one or two browsers. If I'm looking at something or if something's been released, I'll use quite a few browsers. Because then I'll say, you know, your code is sloppy. You know, it's all very well and good releasing a website, but it's not all well and good going to another browser saying, oh, well, that's well and done. And there's a few websites that do it. And there's another thing that really cheeses me off. The old Age UK, they've updated it now. The old Age UK website was sloppy. The new one's changed, but it's just like, here's another thing that really annoys me. Like, you think that old people need slow and clunky websites? No, nobody needs it. Nobody wants it. It's frustrating for everybody and anybody to have a slow and clunky website. You know, if you have a button that once you press it, it takes ages to load, or a website that sooner you load it, it'll crash. No matter what browser, if it crashes your browser, that is a bloody crap website. The amount of websites I've been on where it's crashed, you know? I don't care if it's static or not. You know, it's slow, it doesn't work, people ain't going to use it, you're going to lose a lot of users in that website. So, this is a really thing, you know, it's the thing that people need to know. I've had a lot of people say, hey, will you come review my website? And I'm like, I said, right, okay, question I want to ask you, how many browsers have you tried yourself? I won't review your website unless you've tried it in several different browsers. If they say, oh, it works with Safari, Chrome, and Outlook, whatever, I'll go, okay, I'll try it in I'll try it in I'll try it in a different browser, because I'll try it in Firefox. A lot of people don't test their websites in Firefox. A lot of people don't. And you should. Firefox should be, if you are a person that runs a website, you should test your websites in Firefox first. Because if it works in Firefox, it's going to work in other browsers. If it's just Firefox only, that's all well and good. But make sure you state on your website, this is for Firefox only, or it'll work in this browser only. And there's a few websites that do that pretty well. You know? They'll say, download this browser for this website. But again, and this is as well for progressive web apps. This is more for progressive web apps too, which I'll talk in another video. On things that I have used. But again, another thing that people ask me, do you think that the mainstream websites, the mainstream web browsers have too much overcrowding? No, I don't think they have too much overcrowding. It's more the search engines that have overcrowding, but I'll do another video on that. Browsers can be... I don't say there's a poor or worse browser. I'd say there's a browser that does a specific job. I don't use 100 different browsers anymore because of the type of job that I have. I use 1 or 2 browsers. I don't use Safari all the time because Safari doesn't always do the job. I tend to use Chrome or Firefox. Not Firefox, Chrome or Opera Touch. I don't really use Firefox all that much because the search bar is kind of difficult, but I do hope to learn Firefox. So that's what I wanted to discuss. And another thing, people are asking, is the CyberClans browser still up and running? Yeah, it's still up and running. It's not going to be dead. Whether they'll open source it or not is a different thing. So anyway, that is my talk on accessible websites and browsers. I think I'll do another video on accessible browsers because, again, that's another thing as well. Accessible websites, it all depends on the browser you use. This is what a lot of people don't think. Microsoft Outlook really isn't all that great with screen readers. I don't know why, it just isn't. Whereas something like Chrome or Firefox seems to work really well with screen readers. So yeah, I would stick to using third-party browsers for different things, and ask yourself, what are you using that website for? Anyway, without further ado, just a little announcement. I'm doing my Lazy Sunday video quite late this week because I've had a lot on, so it'll probably be out pretty soon, but it is getting done. And once it's out, it might be a midweek video, so it might be a lazy midweek that I do. But at least if it gets done and out, and I've already got next Sunday's lazy video doing, but I just need to get the Sunday after. I need to do a lazy Sunday video for the Sunday after next, so I've still got content for that. But the lazy Sunday videos seem to be me worrying about content for them. Anyway, without further ado, that's me Out and out. Over and out.
One notification. Mic trigger. Mic lock. Finish recording.